I'm Brandy Agerbeck, and this is a Graphic Facilitation Show and Tell. Please find out more about my graphic facilitation work at loosetooth.com. Today I'm just going to answer the question, how do you know how much space you're going to use on a chart? How do you know how much space you're going to take up, and how do you get it to fit? Now, if you've looked at my website, you'll notice that the examples on the site look like I just magically have filled the page. Now, that's not how it works in reality. In reality, let's say I recently had an event where it was a one-day conference, and so I was mapping a single presenter. So in this case, I had a single presenter here, and this is the title of the talk. And then they were talking about a specific group of people, so I wanted to humanize it by using a nice big figure. And they had a whole series of points about that audience. So I had, let's say, this little quote there, and then so the first piece of the agenda was this topic. The second part of the agenda switched to a panel discussion, and in this case, let's say I had the panel topic in the center here, and then they talked about 4 different scenarios that had to do with that panel. So in this case, we had the panel discussion here, and then we had like these little offshoots coming off of it. Little specific points off of each of the 4 scenarios that they discussed on the panel. So we did these two. We had these 2 sessions, and then they broke for lunch. Well, you'll notice that I captured the first part and I captured the second part, and we were left with a big giant hunk of space up here. And you know what? That's okay. Because everyone who was in that room saw this image being drawn. They saw this, I was at the front of the room, so they could really be graphically facilitated because it was visual, because it was real time. So they saw this happen. It's not a big deal, honestly. So it's not as if every single time I do this work, it magically fills the page. And you know what the beautiful thing is? The beautiful thing is that I end up taking digital photos of these drawings, and I crop them. So in this case, even though there were 2 drawings on one single piece of paper, I know that there were 2 distinct pieces of the agenda. So what I'll do is I'll crop out this, and I'll crop out this. So now we'll have 2 images, and each of those will be cropped so that there's no wasted space, which obviously is the way you want to deliver it to the client, so that they have this nice, concise, color-balanced image that shows what happened during that piece of the agenda, and that there is one file for every section of their conference. So again, I think this is something that people get really hung up on, but you never really know where the shape of a presentation or a conversation is going to go. And you do have some tricks, you do have some ways of kind of working around that. For instance, I really like working in the center, and then that gives me space to move out. But I might have a chart that looks like that, where when it comes down to it, that's kind of the shape that the conversation took, and that there's a lot of white space around here. Again, that's a-okay. Might have another one where it kind of is all along the side here, and space, again, a-okay. So again, just remember that every conversation takes a different shape. What's really tricky is when you fill up a space with the conversation. You've made your map, and then the conversation keeps going, and it 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 keeps going, and then you fill the entire page, and it's really crowded. You like to hope that that doesn't happen very often, that people stay on the agenda, and that'll be a 90-minute conversation, and it doesn't turn into a 4-hour conversation. It happens. So that's why adaptability is the #1 quality. That's worth writing down. So again, when people want to know what shape something is going to take, or how much space it's going to take up, you don't really know. You start out, and you have to be adaptable. So one way of being adaptable is just letting it go when you fill up a chart and there's a big piece of blank space. honestly, I don't think anyone really cares because they know that this represents what was said. They're not looking at this part. And the beautiful thing is, again, you take digital photos and you get to crop out the blank spaces and make the image nice and clean and cropped. So again, I'm Brandy Agerbeck. I'm a graphic facilitator. Adaptability, #1. And if you want to see lots of ways that I've adapted to different projects, you can check out my portfolio at loosetooth.com. Thanks for watching.